Many of the Mustang's parts are built as sub-assemblies. It's another way to save time in the factory. One of the most critical sub-assemblies is the dashboard.
Right now we're heading into the instrument panel assembly line. This is where we build up the dashboards and all the accessories for the Mustang instrument cluster. The Mustang dashboard includes wire harnesses, the heating and air conditioning system, ductwork, airbags, electrical modules, trim pieces, so quite a bit goes into it.
Other parts are made right at the plant from scratch. They make the Mustang's front and rear plastic bumpers in a large injection mold right on the factory floor.
Big mold, big mold.
A mold that squeezes the bumpers into shape. With more than 15,000 kilograms of pressure.
It injects and it's still molten. As it injects, it cools, and after it cools, it sets up in the tool before the tool opens. The unloader takes it away.
Workers use a blowtorch to remove any excess plastic left around the edges. Then they send the bumpers off to get painted by yet another robot. And then a human outfits each bumper with additional parts.
These are your side covers, the center grille, the lower air dam. You have to pay attention to detail while inserting it for a proper fit. Whoa. 25% of the cars that leave here, I had something to do with it. That's a beautiful feeling.
Once they're done sub-assembling the bumper, they go straight to the line and get installed.
Fascia on the Mustang, the tail lights, shock absorbers, some of the wiring, harness, a lot of stuff that you don't see.
A few lines over, they work on 4 different engines, a V6 and 3 different V8s.
This is where the engine and transmission are assembled together. From here, all the accessories will be put on the engine, and after that, the engine will be installed in the vehicle.
Once the engine and transmission are mated together, it's time to build the drivetrain. They start by installing suspension pieces. Engine mounts. And then lowering the power plant into place. Front shocks and disc brakes go on next. Then exhaust pipes. Finally, it's time to put some horses into the pony. They install the engine, transmission, and front suspension from underneath the car.
Personally, I like when the body comes down on top of the underbody and suspension and engine. So I can sit there and just watch that all day long. That's the first time it really becomes a full vehicle.
A full vehicle that only a badass could have created. Whether it's squealing its tires on a burnout, or the sound of a 650 horsepower V8 being fired up. That big, mean-sounding V8 roar. A trademark of the car.
You know, that sound, that exhaust noise, that burble, that rumble. It's the classic American V8 noise.
And that modern high-tech engine gets installed thanks to two basic metal bars.
If you notice, there's two steel bars at the front of the engine hoist, and they plug into locating holes in the body to make sure that the engine is positioned correctly for installation. These are custom-made tools for the process, and there are literally dozens of them throughout the plant. They're very process-specific.
Process-specific. Another way to maximize efficiency. And the workers play a major role in helping to do that.
The tools that we use to process aids are developed primarily by the operators who have to use them to make their jobs easier. If they have an idea to make things better, we always listen to them.
More than in most car companies, those who build the Mustang describe their co-workers as family.
Boy, I work with these guys more than I see my wife. I'm here 10 hours a day, so they're like brothers and sisters to you.
Some of the workers here really are family. Kim Vandenberg is a team leader on the engine line. She met her husband, John, here.
We've been married 20 years, and it's amazing. My best friend works here, my husband works here. We're like a family.
I said I'd never work with my wife, but I met her here, and I had the wrong idea. It's been a great thing.
"20 years later, the married couple built a very special Mustang together. It was a very special client. Their son.
My son is a police officer in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and he waited his whole life to order a new car, and he ordered a V8 manual Mustang, and we got to build that Mustang.
She got to follow it and do different things that most people don't. They called me over to let me start it up, hear that rumble for the first time. So I got to tell him that I started it before he did, so that was pretty cool.
Mom left her mark too.
If you look under the valve cover gaskets, there's a little message that she wrote. She wrote "made with love" and all that. It's not typical.
But Dad was not going to be outdone. So he sang the engine too. There seems to be a hidden side to the Mustang. It's a car that some people consider, well, romantic. Mustang's chief engineer.
It's true, yeah.
guy, my boss at the time, who had a Mustang, I asked him if I could borrow his car because I wanted to propose to my wife. And so I drove it to Chicago where she was and picked her up. And then I drove her to the high school where we met. And I stopped in front of the classroom that I actually met her in. And I told her there was something wrong with the car. And of course she believed me. And I got out and I opened up her door and I knelt on a knee and I asked her to marry me in the Mustang. It's absolutely a love affair with this machine.
To this day, they talk about the romance of the Mustang at the factory. A love affair that begins when they fill up a new Mustang with gas and start her up for the very first time.
We're at my favorite place in the Mustang plant. This is where the hard work of thousands of people and thousands of parts all come together and we start the Mustang for the first time. It's where the horses come alive.
Grown-ups who have an unusual opportunity to work as professionals and feel like kids.
It's a bunch of guys who want to do what every teenager in America wants to do, right? Go really fast. We get the opportunity to engineer it and do it, so yeah, we're in a great place.
I said, hell yeah, let's get it done. You know, Dave develops a product, we have the responsibility to build it. When they come up with a real cool idea, we're very enthusiastic about getting it done.
Once a Mustang becomes a living, breathing beast, a worker drives it to a final test and quality control area. They do an electrical inspection. They check the lights, horn, turn signals, instruments, and the heating and air conditioning systems.
What I'll do is I'll browse over the car and see if there's anything I can notice. As I've just did, I can see that there's a little polish repair that needs to be done. So I add a little polish, grab my wheel, wipe her off, and there you go. You have a new car now.
Then they drive the car onto what they call the rolling road to check the output of the engine. Now the Mustang is ready for the real world and